morning, everybody. Today I'm going to read President Squid. We all know that we're going to have an election coming up in about, 90 days or something like that. And people will be voting for President of the United States. And this squid decided to run for president. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? So it's called President Squid. I have realized something very important, something that changes everything. No giant squid has ever been president before, which means I will be the first President Squid. Now that has a nice ring to it. So look at Mount Rushmore, and there's the squid. I will be the greatest president who ever lived. Want to know why? Here are 5 important reasons. Look at him, ready to run for president. Reason number 1, presidents wear ties. See? Tie. See? Tie. See? Tie. Oh, bow ties count. Wearing a tie is very presidential, and I look fabulous in a tie. Did you see any other giant squids around here wearing ties? Nope. That's what I thought. Look at him with his bow tie. Reason number 2, the president has the biggest house ever. Have you seen the president's house? It's huge. I mean, this place is enormous. Well, have you seen my house? It's not just huge, it's not just enormous, it's absolutely titanic. Pretty cool, huh? Look at his home. Home sweet home. Reason number 3, presidents are famous. Let's face it, I'm the most famous sea creature on this whole page. Do you know that guy? Of course not. He's a nobody. How about that fish over there? You never heard of him, right? How about me? Do you know who I am? President Squid, you say. Exactly. I even have a book named after me. You're reading it right now. President Squid, 3 reasons to vote for him. Reason number 4, presidents get to do all the talking. I'm great at doing all the talking. I'm doing all the talking right now. I'm doing all the talking about 5 reasons why I should be president. And when presidents talk, everyone has to listen. Are you listening? I said, everyone has to listen. I don't know if we're listening or not. And finally, reason 5, the president is the big boss. Bossing people around may be the most presidential thing a president does. And I'm perfect at being the big boss. After all, there's nobody bigger than me. See? And there's nobody bossier than me. Hey, shark, brush your teeth. Hey, jellyfish, comb your tentacles. You look terrible. See? Very bossy. I'll be in charge of everybody. I think I'm ready for all that power. That doesn't sound like a good reason to me. Let's go over this once more for those of you who are a little slow. Wears a tie? Check. Huge house? Check. Famous? Check. Does all the talking? Check, checkity, check, check. Big and bossy? Check and check. I'm perfect for this job. Well, we'll see. All hail President Squid. I said, all hail President Squid. Oh my. There's no hailing going on. What's the problem, people? They're not doing it. They're swimming away. You, sardine, why aren't you hailing me? I would, but I'm stuck in this clam. Does that clam know that I'm wearing a tie? He doesn't seem to care about your choice of neckwear, sir. How strange. Does the clam know how big my house is? He seems unimpressed. Do you know who I am, clam? Do you realize how famous I am? He said he's never heard of you, sir. You have got to be kidding me. Clam, this is President Squid. I do all the talking. Yes, sirree, Bob. When I talk, everybody has to listen. Presidents talk. Clams listens. That's my motto. I say swim, you say how fast. I say back off from the sardine, you back off, bub. And I say unhand him. this very instant. Clams don't have ears. I can't turn the page, I'm sorry. Stand back, little sardine, I'm coming to help you. Ah! He's pulling, trying to get him out of the clam. You did it, sir. You helped me. I did help you. I just jumped in there and helped you. Helping people. That's very presidential. It is? It is. Being president is more work than I thought. Yeah, that's an important thing about being president, being helpful. All hail President Squid! All hail President Squid! Wait, I've realized something very important. Being president is exhausting. I do not want to be president. I want to be... What do you think he wants to be? King Squid! All-powerful ruler of the entire universe. All the power, none of the work. That's the funniest squid I've ever seen. Now that has a nice ring to it. He's swimming off, looking like a king. And one interesting thing, I found this book at a thrift store, and look at the author signed it. The book belonged to a little boy named Hayden, and the author actually signed the book. His name is Aaron Reynolds, and there's an A. Reynolds. It's a little hard to read, but that's kind of cool that the book was really autographed by the author. Now today in the BFG, I'm going to be reading about Snozzcumbers. Snozzcumbers. But if you don't eat people like all the others, Sophie said, then what do you live on? That is a squelching, tricky problem around here, the BFG answered. In this slush-funking giant country, happy eats like pineapples and pigwinkles is simply not growing. Nothing is growing except for one extremely icky-poo vegetable. It is called the Snozzcumber. The Snozzcumber, cried Sophie. There's no such thing. The BFG looked at Sophie and smiled, showing about 20 of his square white teeth. Yesterday, he said, we was not believing in giants, was we? Today we is not believing in Snozzcumbers. Just because we happen not to have actually seen something with our own two little winkles, we think it is not existing. What about, for instance, the great squizzly Scotch hopper? I beg your pardon, Sophie said. And the humplecrimp. What's that? Sophie said. And the rap rascal. The what? And the crocodile. Are they animals? They is common animals, the BFG said. I is not a very all-know giant, but it seems to me that you is an absolutely know-nothing human being. Your brain is full of rotten wood. You mean cotton wool, Sophie said. What I mean and what I say is two different things, the BFG announced rather grandly. I will now show you a Snozzcumber. The BFG flung open a massive cupboard and took out the weirdest looking thing Sophie had ever seen. It was about half as long as an ordinary man, but was much thicker. It was as thick around its girth as a perambulator. It was black with white stripes along its length, and it was covered all over with coarse knobbles. Here is the repulsant Snozzcumber, cried the BFG, waving it about. I squaggle it, I mispise it, I dispunge it. But because I is refusing to gobble up human beings, I must spend my life guzzling up icky-poo Snozzcumbers instead. If I don't, I will be nothing but skin and groans. You mean skin and bones, Sophie said. I know it is bones, but please understand that I cannot be helping if I sometimes is saying things a little squiggly. I is trying my very best all the time. The big friendly giant looked suddenly so forlorn that Sophie got quite upset. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't mean to be rude. There never was any schools to teach me talking in giant country. But couldn't your mother have taught you? Sophie asked. My mother, cried the BFG. Giants don't have mothers. Surely you is knowing that. I did not know that, Sophie said. Who ever heard of a woman giant? Shouted the BFG. There never was a woman giant, and there never will be one. Giants is always men. Sophie felt herself getting a little muddled. In that case, she said, how were you born? Giants isn't born. Giants appears, and that's all there is to it. They simply appears, the same way as the sun and the stars. And when did you appear? Sophie asked. How on earth could I be knowing a thing like that? It was so long ago I couldn't count. You mean you don't even know how old you are? No giant is knowing that. All I is knowing about myself that I is very, very old and crumply, perhaps as old as the earth. Well, what happens when a giant dies? Oh, giants is never dying, the BFG answered. Sometimes and quite suddenly a giant is disappearing, but nobody is ever knowing where he goes to. But mostly us giants is simply going on and on like whiffsy time twiddlers. The BFG was still holding the awesome Snozzcumber in his right hand, and now he put one end in his mouth and he bit off a huge hunk of it. He started crunching it up, and the noise he made was like the crunching of lumps of ice. It is filthing, he spluttered, speaking with his mouth full, and spraying large pieces of Snozzcumbers like bullets in Sophie's direction. Sophie hopped around on the tabletop, ducking out of the way. It's disgusterous, it's sickable, it's rotsome. Try it yourself, this foulsome Snozzcumber. Oh, no thank you, Sophie said, backing away. It's all you're going to be guzzling around here from now on, so you might as well get used to it, said the BFG. Go on, you snipsy little winkle. Have a go. Sophie took a small nibble. Ooh. Ugh! She spluttered. Oh no! Oh gosh! Oh help! She spat it out quickly. It tasted of frog skins and rotten fish. Worse than that, cried the BFG, roaring with laughter. To me it is tasting of clock coaches and slime wanglers. Do we really have to eat it? Sophie said. You do, unless you is wanting to become so thin you'll be disappearing into a thick ear. Into thin air, Sophie said. A thick ear is something quite different. Once again that sad face came into his eyes. Words, he said, is oh such a tickling problem to me all my life. So you must simply try to be patient and stop squibbling. As I'm telling you before, I know exactly what words I'm wanting to say, but somehow or other there's always getting squiddled around. Oh, that happens to everyone, Sophie said. Not like it happens to me. I is speaking the most terrible Wiglish. I think you speak beautifully, Sophie said. Not like it happens you to... Oh, my goodness, you do, cried the BFG. You really do? And suddenly he brightened up. Simply beautifully, Sophie repeated. Well, that is the nicest present anybody is ever giving me in my whole life. Are you sure you was not twiddling my leg? Of course not, Sophie said. I just love the way you talk. How wondercrump, how whoopsie splunkers, how absolutely squiffling, I is all of a stutter. Listen, we don't have to eat Snozzcumbers. In the fields around our village there are all sorts of lovely vegetables, cauliflowers, carrots. Why don't you get some of those next time you go to visiting? The BFG raised his head proudly in the air. I is a very honorable giant. I would rather be chewing up rotsome Snozzcumbers than snitching things from other people. You stole me, Sophie said. I did not steal you very much. After all, you was only a tiny little girl. And this is the drawing I drew today of the Snozzcumbers. And it says, Sophie wondered what the BFG did eat. He opened the cupboard and brought out a filthing and disgusterous Snozzcumber. Sophie tried it and spit it out. Sophie told the BFG he spoke beautifully. And when she spit it out there, she said, oh, help. It tastes like frog skins and rotten fish. Oh, dear. And that was all they were going to have to eat in giant country. So, nope, I almost knocked the camera down. So I'm going to say good night, everyone. I love you, and have a good night's sleep. Good night.
Amen.